I never thought I'd end up here, honestly. My name's Jake, and I was pretty much set on a future with my fiancée, Lisa. We'd been together for 3 years, and I genuinely thought we had a solid thing going. She was beautiful, ambitious, and for the most part seemed genuine about wanting to build a life with me. I mean, sure, every relationship has its hiccups, but I never suspected anything serious. We talked about marriage, about kids, about the future. It felt like we had that kind of connection that only comes around once in a lifetime. But then, little things started to pop up. Small stuff at first. She'd be unusually secretive about her phone, always hiding it when I was around, deleting messages, or suddenly needing privacy. She'd get defensive if I asked too many questions. And then there was her behavior around my brother, Kevin. She'd act a little too flirty sometimes, touches that lingered too long, a look in her eyes that made me uneasy. I brushed it off initially, chalked it up to harmless flirtation or my own insecurity. But deep down, I knew something was off. One day, I came home early from work, just to surprise her. I had planned to cook dinner, maybe catch her off guard. I walk inside the apartment and I didn't hear the usual "hey, babe" or anything. The place was strangely quiet. I call out her name and I get no response. That's when I notice that her purse is gone. Curious, I go to the bedroom and that's when I see it. Her phone, left on the nightstand, screen lit up with a message from someone I didn't recognize. I pick it up and glance at the screen. The message was from a number saved as Kevin. My stomach drops. The words are suggestive, something about how much she missed him last night, how she couldn't wait to see him again. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I scrolled through the messages, more texts, more suggestive photos. My mind was racing, pounding, trying to make sense of it all. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My wife, my supposed best friend, was cheating on me with my brother just before our wedding, the very night I was supposed to marry her. I stood there frozen, my heart pounding so loud I thought everyone could hear. I had no idea what to do. My head was spinning. I kept thinking, how long has this been going on? Was it just last night? Or was this a long-term thing? And more than that, how could she lie to me about her pregnancy? She'd been telling me she was pregnant, saying she was carrying our child, and I believed her. She cried. She made me feel like the happiest man alive. And now I found out she'd been lying the whole time, that she was actually screwing around with him. I felt so betrayed it was physical, like I'd been ripped apart from the inside. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I just sat there trying to process this chaos. I remember feeling angry, betrayed, hurt, like my world was crashing down around me. How could she do this? How could she lie about something so huge, something that changed everything? She'd been so bitchy lately, snapping at me for no reason, acting like I was the problem when I just asked her about her odd behavior. Turns out, she'd been hiding this from me all along, just waiting for the right moment to shatter everything. I couldn't even sleep that night. I was so overwhelmed with emotion. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew that whatever she'd say, my trust was broken beyond repair. And so I waited. I knew I couldn't keep this secret for long. I had to hear her side, even if I already knew what it was going to be. The question was, how could she lie so convincingly? How could she make me believe she was pregnant, that she loved me, when she was out screwing my brother? That was the part that burned the most, her lying, her deception, her manipulation. I felt like a fool. I had trusted her. I'd planned our life together. And now everything was lying in ruins. The next day I knew I couldn't avoid her anymore. The silence was deafening. I still couldn't believe what I'd seen. Those texts, her lies about being pregnant, the way she'd been acting like everything was normal when behind my back, she was just screwing my brother. My mind kept circling back to that. How she'd lied to me about something so huge, about a baby that wasn't even real. I felt like I'd been played. For a fool, like I was some kind of idiot for trusting her. When she finally came home that afternoon, I was already waiting in the living room. I didn't even bother with small talk. I just looked at her and said, "Lisa, we need to talk. Now." She looked surprised, maybe even a little annoyed, like I was interrupting her day. But I didn't care. I told her I knew everything, the texts, the lies about the pregnancy, everything. Her face went pale for a second, then she rolled her eyes and started with her usual bitchy attitude. "Oh, here we go again. You're overreacting. It's not what you think." I didn't buy it. I told her I saw the messages, that I knew she'd been lying about the pregnancy, and I wanted the truth. That's when she started to get defensive, spinning some ridiculous story about how she and Kevin were just friends, and that I was crazy for thinking there was anything more. She said she was pregnant because she was scared and confused, and that Kevin had helped her with some doctor visits, but she insisted nothing romantic had happened. I knew better, I could see right through her bullshit. She'd been lying right from the start, covering her tracks, trying to gaslight me into thinking I was imagining things. Her reaction just made me angrier. How was she so bitchy about it? She had the nerve to act like I was the one causing trouble. That whole conversation felt like a game, her trying to deflect, deny, and dismiss everything. I was furious. I told her I didn't know what kind of person she was, that I never thought she'd do something like this. She just snorted and said, "You don't know me at all, Jake. Maybe I don't want to be with someone who's so paranoid." That's when I saw the real her, manipulative, cold, and a bitch. That moment I realized I was dealing with someone who had zero respect for me or the vows we made. The emotional roller coaster hit hard. I felt this deep, overwhelming sadness, but also pure rage. I didn't cry, at least not then. Instead, I just sat there, listening to her lie and deny and play the victim. I kept thinking about the nights I'd spent worrying, the times she'd snapped at me for no reason, and the way she'd been so dismissive of my concerns. All of it was a cover-up, a mask for her true self, the one who'd been secretly screwing my brother and lying to me about her pregnancy. That betrayal cut deeper than any punch or physical pain ever could. But even as I was overwhelmed by emotion, a part of me was already starting to think about what to do next. I couldn't stay with someone like her. I knew I had to cut ties, even if it hurt like hell. I felt stuck between heartbreak and fury, but I also knew that I deserved honesty, respect, and someone who wouldn't lie to my face. That's when I decided I had to face the reality. This wasn't something I could fix. I couldn't rebuild trust, not after knowing she'd been screwing around behind my back, lying about a baby, and treating me like a fool. I needed to figure out my next move, but the pain of betrayal was still fresh, and I was trying to breathe through it all, trying to accept that my life was about to change forever. After that confrontation, everything started to feel surreal. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and honestly, I kept replaying everything in my head. Her sneaky phone calls, her bitchy attitude, the way she'd try to gaslight me into doubting my own senses. I kept asking myself, how did I get here? How did I trust someone who could so easily lie about something as huge as a pregnancy, who could cheat on me with my own brother? It felt like I'd been living in a nightmare, and I didn't see any way out except to face the truth head-on. The next few days were a blur. I started digging deeper, going through her social media, her emails, anything I could find. I needed answers. I found more messages, flirty texts she'd sent Kevin, pictures of her in bed with him, some explicit stuff that made my stomach turn. It was obvious this wasn't just a one-time thing. They had a full-blown affair, and she'd been hiding it for who knows how long. Her whole act about being pregnant, about waiting until after the wedding to tell me, was just her trying to buy time, cover her tracks. It was sickening. I was furious, but also devastated. I kept thinking about the wedding day, the vows we'd made. I'd been so excited, so ready to start this life with her. And now I realized she'd been planning this betrayal right under my nose. I felt like a complete idiot for ever trusting her. Every moment I spent trying to build something real with her felt like a lie now. I couldn't help but feel a surge of anger at her, at Kevin, even at myself for not seeing it sooner. I knew I had to make decisions quickly. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay, not after discovering how deeply she'd lied. I decided I'd confront her again, face her with everything I'd found. I needed closure, even if it meant breaking everything apart. But I also knew I couldn't just storm in and threaten her. I had to be strategic, get her to admit the truth, get her to see that I was done trusting her. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done, to understand that her betrayal wasn't just a fling or some stupid mistake. It was a calculated move that shattered everything I believed in. So I set a plan in motion. I called her at work, told her I needed to see her right away. When she arrived, I laid everything out: texts, photos, my feelings. Her reaction was classic. She got defensive, tried to deny it all, even accused me of spying on her. She said she was sorry, but not really. She called me paranoid, said I was overreacting, that Kevin was just helping her with doctor visits, that they never did anything serious. Yeah, right. I didn't buy any of it. Her words were so bitchy, so dismissive, like she thought I was just some stupid fool who'd believe anything. It didn't matter what she said. I'd already seen enough to know she was lying through her teeth. That day, I felt a strange sense of clarity. I realized I couldn't stay with her, not after what I'd uncovered. I couldn't be with someone who'd lie to my face, who'd cheat with my own brother, and then try to gaslight me into believing her bullshit. I felt betrayed, angry, and more than anything, heartbroken. But I also felt a strange sense of liberation. I had to cut her loose, no matter how hard it was, because staying would mean accepting more lies, more pain. And I was done. I was tired of being played for a fool. I needed to step back, heal, and figure out how to move forward from this chaos. The days that followed were some of the hardest I've ever experienced. I felt like I was caught in a storm with no way out. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, defiant, bitchy, dismissive, telling me I was crazy, that I was overreacting. She kept insisting that she loved me, that she never cheated, that it was all some huge misunderstanding. But I knew better. I had seen the texts, the pictures, the proof. There was no way she could spin her way out of this one. I started to think about what I needed to do next. The betrayal was so deep, so raw, that I couldn't imagine staying with her anymore. I mean, how do you forgive someone who's lied about something so huge, who's been screwing your brother behind your back and then acts like it's no big deal? Honestly, I felt like I was losing my mind. I was angry at her, furious at Kevin, and mostly I was devastated for myself. My entire future was crumbling and I didn't even know how to start picking up the pieces. One thing I knew for sure: I couldn't keep living in this lie. I had to make a clean break. I decided to move out. I found a small apartment nearby and got myself out of that apartment we shared. I needed space, time to breathe and think clearly. It was a tough decision, but I knew staying would only give her more time to manipulate or lie her way out of it. I needed distance to see things for what they really were: no distractions, no pretending. In the process, I also reached out to my closest friends. I needed someone to talk to, someone who wouldn't judge me or tell me to forgive and forget. They listened, and honestly, hearing their support helped me keep my head above water. I realized I wasn't alone in feeling like a complete idiot for trusting her. So many people go through betrayals like this, but it still feels like the end of the world when it's happening to you. That feeling of being duped is like a punch to the gut. Every time I thought I was about to start a new chapter, I got hit with another wave of pain. Meanwhile, Lisa continued to deny everything, throwing around accusations about how I was crazy, jealous, or possessive. She called me a million times, leaving angry voicemails trying to guilt-trip me into staying, but I wasn't having it. I knew her game now. She was just trying to manipulate me, to make me doubt myself. But I'd seen too much. I knew she was lying about the pregnancy, about her affair, about everything. The trust was shattered beyond repair. I also started to think about Kevin, my brother, the guy I'd grown up with, trusted, considered a friend. Turns out he was just as much a part of this mess. I confronted him one day, face to face. It was awkward, tense, and filled with anger. I told him I knew about his relationship with her, about the texts, the photos. He didn't deny it. He admitted they'd been involved, that he'd been caught up in the moment. I felt betrayed by both of them, like my world was collapsing. They'd taken everything from me: my future, my trust, my family. I couldn't believe they'd do this to me. The pain was so sharp I thought I might break apart. That moment of confrontation made me realize something. I needed to focus on myself now. I couldn't fix what had been broken overnight, but I could start rebuilding. I decided I'd file for divorce, cut all ties, and focus on healing. It wasn't going to be easy, but I knew I had to do it for my own sanity. I couldn't keep living in the shadows of their lies. I had to move on, to find a way to forgive myself for trusting the wrong people, and to learn how to love myself again. That was the only way I could truly start over. The process of moving on was anything but straightforward. Every day brought new waves of emotion: anger, betrayal, sadness, and a strange sense of relief mixed all together. I started going to therapy, not because I thought I could fix this overnight, but because I needed help sorting through the mess inside my head. Sitting there talking about everything, her lies, my trust issues, the betrayal by my own brother, was brutal. But it was also necessary. I had to confront these feelings if I wanted to rebuild my life. During those sessions, I realized a lot about myself. I've been so eager to believe in love and a future that I ignored the warning signs. I let her get away with little things at first: secretive texts, late nights, dismissive attitude, and I thought, it's just a phase. Turns out, ignoring red flags only made everything worse. I learned that I had to listen to my instincts and trust myself more. The pain of betrayal taught me that I should never ignore what my gut is telling me, no matter how much I want to believe in the best in people. In the aftermath, I cut ties with Kevin completely. No more texts, no more calls, no more family gatherings where I'd have to see him. That was hard, but I couldn't bear the thought of him being part of my life after what he'd done. I felt like I had to protect myself from further damage. The same went for Lisa. I blocked her number, deleted her from social media, and made it clear to anyone who asked that I wanted no contact. It was a rejection of everything she represented: her lies, her manipulations, her bitchy attitude. I had to reclaim my life from her grip. Over time, I started to heal. It wasn't quick, and I still have days where I feel like I'm back at square one. But I also found that I could start to enjoy small things again: going out with friends, taking long walks, focusing on my career. I learned that I was stronger than I thought, that I didn't need anyone's validation to be happy. Even though I still feel the sting of betrayal, I now understand that my worth isn't defined by her lies or her betrayal. I'm better off without her, and I'm finally starting to believe I can move forward. Looking back, I realize I learned a lot about boundaries, about trusting myself, and about how crucial honesty really is in a relationship. I don't regret falling in love or wanting to build a future with her. Those are parts of life you can't avoid. But I do regret ignoring my instincts and not seeing the warning signs sooner. If I could give anyone advice, it's this: listen to your gut. Don't be afraid to walk away from someone who lies and manipulates, and most importantly, never forget your own worth. Sometimes the biggest lessons come from the deepest betrayals, and they can teach you how to be stronger in ways you never imagined. Now I'm focused on rebuilding my life, one day at a time. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I'll be okay. I've survived the worst kind of betrayal and come out the other side. And honestly, that makes me feel more prepared for whatever comes next. The biggest lesson I've taken from all of this is that trust is fragile, something you build slowly but can shatter in an instant. I used to believe that love was enough to carry us through anything, but now I see that honesty and respect are the foundation. Without those, everything else crumbles. I've also learned that people can surprise you in horrible ways, and that sometimes the people you think are closest to you can be the ones who hurt you the most. It's a brutal truth, but one that forces you to grow. I'm not the same person I was before all this happened. I've had to confront some very dark feelings: rage, heartbreak, confusion, and I've come out stronger because of it. I know now that I don't have to stay in the past or cling to what's gone. Instead, I choose to focus on myself, on my healing, and on building a future rooted in genuine honesty and respect. No more secrets, no more lies, no more betrayal. Just me moving forward. Looking back, I realized that I was naive to think I could fix her, that I could change her. The truth is, you can't change someone who doesn't see their own faults. The only thing I could do was remove myself from the toxicity and learn to trust again. Trust myself first and foremost. And so I do. I refuse to let this betrayal define my life forever, even if it will always leave a scar. Now I can honestly say I'm finally at peace. Peace with the fact that love sometimes ends in heartbreak, but also in a new beginning. I've come to accept that sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away, learn the lesson, and move on. Because there's a lot more to life than the pain of betrayal. There's hope, resilience, and the chance to find someone who truly values honesty and fidelity, someone who won't play games or lie to your face. So, to anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, just remember you're not alone. Betrayal hurts like hell, but it also teaches you what you truly deserve. Never settle for bullshit and never ignore your gut. Trust is a gift, but it's also something you must protect. And in the end, your happiness and self-worth come first. No one else can give that to you, only you.